Welcome to Something to Talk About from the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center. It's a program that's sponsored by Fieldstone Communities of Bainbridge Island. Fieldstone is offering memory care up on Rolling Bay, and they're completing work on assisted living and independent living. They also offer day stay and respite programs. Call 360-689-4314 to learn more and to schedule a tour of Fieldstone's apartments. I'd also like to start by acknowledging that we are gathering on the ancestral homeland of the Puget Sound Coast Salish people, specifically the Suquamish tribe, the people of the clear salt water, who've lived on these waters since time immemorial. We honor them and we are grateful for their hospitality. Today, we are going to be getting a little trip, what do you call it? Armchair travel with Tom Hansen, who is going to share some photos that he's calling Jewel of Bohemia. And why don't you tell us a little bit about, Tom, about what the sort of organizing theme of this is?
Yeah, basically, this is basically some photos from my first trip, after COVID. This was a trip that was originally planned before COVID that got canceled and canceled several times, and then finally couldn't put it off anymore, but went ahead. And it's a trip to the Czech Republic, primarily in Prague, and then some other small towns in the Czech Republic, Slovakia, and then ultimately ending up in Budapest in Hungary and whatnot. So it covers some classic travel photography, street photography, which is one of my favorite things to do, and then some still lifes. And I basically took about 4,000 images, primarily because I shoot in brackets, underexposing, overexposing, and then getting just a plain exposure, either to combine them or to correct for my mistakes as a photographer. And then I whittled it down amazingly after a very long time to about 30 images, which that didn't actually all fit on the wall in the senior center. So this is you'll see all 30 here, and like to go into it a little bit.
I should also add that the exhibit is going to be up here at the center through the end of the month. So these images, you can see them bigger and printed right here till the end of the month.
Yeah, it is really they're significantly better as prints. A little bit about me as a photographer. I didn't take up photography until 2015 when I retired. I needed something to do with my time. I was heavily involved in software development, and I needed some computer time, but I didn't want to do any more SAP. In fact, I no longer know how to spell SAP. And I use Sony mirrorless cameras. I have a full frame camera, an AR7, and then I have a smaller mirrorless, and then I do a lot of things with iPhone. I primarily edit in Lightroom, and then I use Topaz products and also some Photoshop to address some of my mistakes, and that's about it. So.
When you're using some of the editing materials, you're generally trying to get a realistic picture. That's generally what you enjoy doing.
I sometimes will go for realistic. Lately, I've been doing some unrealistic things on the ferry and whatnot. It depends on what the image is and what I'm trying to do. And like my favorite things are street photography. I do some macro. I've done some wildlife. So I do a wide variety of things. But I don't do. I don't try to use Photoshop to really do something totally out of the world. With Topaz, I mainly am trying to actually, sometimes, old eyes have a hard time focusing. So I try to make things sharp, and to address things with noise and things like that. So,
Okay, shall we get started?
sure. Actually, this is the very first photo that I took in Prague. Okay. And what it is, if there's a statue, David Cherney has a bunch of statues all around Prague, and he's got a lot of edge about him. And this is a statue of King Wenceslas, the Christmas Carol, and he's very big in the Czech Republic and Bohemia. And here he's riding a dead horse. Okay, and this is kind of like down the square from where he's on the statue on a very majestic horse. But what happened is, this is like one of the passages in Prague, and the passages in Prague are just incredible. They're always a surprise. This is called the Lucerna passage, and it basically it has this wonderful Art Nouveau feeling about it, which is also really, really big. And so I just wandered into this. It's like about a block down the street from my hotel, and we were sneaking through there. And so I picked up this, and it's just, they're mocking the Czech president, and the first president of Czechoslovakia, Václav Klaus, and this was I don't know what the artist's real intentions are with this, but it was just this beautiful image. This is another statue by David Cherney, and it's a sculpture of Kafka's head. And as I was coming back from my first jaunt, I got lost. I was trying to find my way back to the hotel. I was awestruck by this statue, its giant moving head. And then I kind of sat down and realized the absurdity of it all. And so this enormous mirrored bust is comprised of these 42 independent driven layers that are moving around, stainless steel. It weighs about 45 tons, and it reveals, kind of Kafka's tortured personality and unrelenting self-doubt that plagued him throughout the whole year. And what I particularly like about this photo, and I used some editing to really bring it out, but down in the left-hand corner in the mirror, you can see this couple that are sitting there kind of enjoying a coffee or doing something and whatever. And I was able to kind of bring that out through the editing. Okay.
Oh, you can tell it's a face, but the face keeps morphing in front of you as the.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, all these things are sitting there turning and turning and turning. It's really amazing.
You can see how
I truly was lost, but I finally figured out how to get back to the hotel.
Where was that, Tom?
It's in Prague.
I know, but whereabouts? I've been to Prague. That's why I'm wondering.
It's kind of in the town's, old town center, but off a ways and whatnot. I think I'd gone to the Charles Bridge, which by the way is the next photo, but then we were trying to wind our way back to the hotel.
What, down by the cathedral down there?
I don't know. It's just kind of off there. I mean, literally, I was lost.
Easy to do in Prague. Easy to do.
But that was one of the things I wanted to see, so I was lucky to happen upon it. Also, there was a grocery store, and I was getting hungry, so that was fortuitous. The Charles Bridge is basically kind of I would say the cornerstone of photography in Charles. I'm getting told to keep it down a little bit. we're competing for Zoom meetings. But anyway, it's a medieval stone arch bridge that crosses the Tova River. Its construction was in 1357 under Charles IV, who was, kind of, the guy, and then was finished in the 15th century. It is wonderful in terms of statues, artists, musicians. It's just very, very lively, and it's just a wonderful place to do. And this was kind of a panorama that I'd kind of put together with a few composite images, and kind of one of the ones I kind of liked and just picked out for this show.
Something always going on up there. There are lots of buskers and all kinds of stuff, right?
All kinds of stuff. And,
I loved it. Loved it.
And neat stuff on either side.
Yep.
This is a statue that I really liked, and I kind of like the way this image came out. This is a statue of Saint John, different Saint John. It's like, he's one of the Bohemian saints, and he's kind of the patriot, the patron of bridges, and basically, supposedly his statue is on a lot of bridges, and he was a priest under King Wenceslaus, and the Queen made a confession to him, and unfortunately for him, the king became very suspicious, and he pressed, John about the Queen's confession, which he wouldn't reveal, not even to the king, and because of that, he was basically executed and thrown in the river. So, why he's the patron saint of rivers, he didn't look like he could save himself, but maybe he can save others. This is the old Jewish cemetery. And before I went, I was trying to do some research of things to photograph. And this is one of the highlights I really wanted to photograph. The weather and lighting just kind of wasn't there that day, but this is kind of the best that I could do. This cemetery has just amazing headstones and stuff, and it's got a nice museum, and basically it served for basically the first half of the 15th century till 1786, and there's about 12 layers of soil and stuff, so there's like multiple layers of burials, and it just has this really wonderful, it's nice to really just run around and in that area.
You talk about adding clarity. This looks very sharp. You can certainly see a depth of field here with the varieties of the headstones.
Yeah, this is probably bracketed, combining multiple image, and then that's using sharpening technology, to really bring out kind of the lettering on the stones. So that helps a little bit. This is like my favorite image out of this whole thing, and what it is a double exposure. Okay, what you're seeing is it's a scene from a movie called One Life. It has not been released yet, and then overimposed on top of that are names from a Holocaust memorial that's in a kind of a memorial synagogue that is in that Jewish cemetery. Basically has the names of about 80,000 people that were taken and killed during the Holocaust. And so I took one of the panels and superimposed that over there. And this was kind of truly a highlight. We were just walking down the street. I was on a tour, and we saw all these old neat cars, and we got to a point where basically we got ushered off, and film crews were in there. They were shooting, there was smoke bombs going off in there. And I happened to be right behind this lady. And basically what she's doing is kind of walking across the street and, seeing this couple there. The movie it actually stars Anthony Hopkins, who we didn't see. And it's about about Nicholas Winton, who was a stockbroker, and basically he's kind of like the Czech Schindler. He rescued about 600 or so children and got them out of Czechoslovakia. A visit to a chocolate shop with the specialty of Belgian hot chocolate as a drink, and it was a wonderful kind of rest. And I looked over, and there were the waitresses licking the spoons. And this brought out the street photographer in me. And of course, street photography is better in black and white. So it's a very fun, kind of shot.
I've never had chocolate like that before or since. It was amazing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it was amazing. It really was. I would have never found that on my own too. So that was kind of a really cool experience and stuff like that.
Looking at the spoons, I think, proves Sheila's point.
And you can't go to Prague without going to the John Lennon Wall, and it's basically since the 1980s, it's a wall that was filled with John Lennon inspired graffiti, lyrics from Beatles songs, designs related to local and global causes. Basically, in 1988, it was a source of irritation to the communist regime, and basically following a short-lived era of democratization and political liberalization, it was known as the Prague Spring. It was the newly installed government dismantled the reforms and inspiring anger and resistance, and so everybody wrote their grievances on the wall. It's kind of right next to the Charles Bridge, and there's a bunch of things, love without expectations. There's a lot of stuff written about Trump on there, which is not surprising, and about Ukraine. So this was just a very colorful image that I liked. This is a lamppost that was in kind of the Capitol Hill, Castle Hill area. It's Prague is just filled with just lots of interesting architecture and features. And this one I just found particularly interesting, just its level of detail. I really like the level of clouds and stuff in here. Interestingly, I don't know if this is my computer screen here, but as I'm seeing things on the web, I'm seeing the dust spots that I missed and didn't get in Lightroom and Photoshop. That's about it on that one. This was the first president of Czechoslovakia, Tomáš Masaryk or whatever. And he was president in 1918 after it was formed after World War I. And in the signs that are kind of hanging behind the statue basically are roughly translated in brave, honest, and direct. And I only wish all politicians were like that. And so I kind of, that was a nice social comment. Kind of street photography that that I would like to, I usually like to take a shot of. I talked about passages in Prague as being totally special, and they're particularly magical at night. Luckily, we were with a guide. We had gone to see a music performance at one of the churches, and so we were walking back, and of course, would have gotten totally lost, would have never found this, but going into this passage, it just, it really kind of, eerie and good place. There's all these lamps, and so I took this picture, and basically it was really dark. There's a lot of noise in the camera, but I was able to to bring out this kind of, try to get a magical feeling of what it's like in one of those dark passages.
Yes, that definitely looks mysterious, and it's great how the focal point of the light then sort of is mysteriously showing the rest of the plants and everything.
And this is another one in the passages, and I kind of labeled it something going on inside. The light in there kind of makes you want to look at what's kind of going on inside. I often photograph subjects and kind of things that to me are kind of like remind me of themes that Edward Hooper, an artist, would paint. And this is kind of one of them. I post them online in kind of this group that that does things inspired by Edward Hooper. And I put this one in. This image, as far as anything I've ever posted online, had drew more interest and comments and likes and stuff from a very kind of diverse group of people. And so I kind of like it, and so I included it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well,
I've always
how
heard it
about
pronounced Hopper, but
Yeah.
maybe it's Hooper.
Yeah, I'm kind of dyslexic when I read.
Okay. Sheila.
I have a question, Tom, about it's light here, so it's dark night, but
Oh, it's night.
light coming through the window here.
Yeah, it's nighttime. Yeah.
And what's happened? Is there? It looks like it's something outside, and there's a building outside there, and it's lights outside.
Yeah, it's you've got a lamp, and then you've got the window with the light, and there's lots of light around the door, and something is going on inside. Life is going on.
Yeah, if you're familiar with Hopper's Nighthawks, it's people inside a diner, and you're outside, and the street is dark, but they're illuminated.
Yeah,
just like this.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I took this into some software called Topaz Studio that allows you to put different looks on things, and they have these impressionist look, and you could actually make this look like an Edward Hopper painting, and because it would look exactly like it if you used 100% of that filter, but I dialed that back to like about 10 or 15%, and so it gives like a very interesting texture. Takes it out of the sharp, realistic way, and just gives you a little bit of the kind of impressionistic kind of feel that that Hopper has. And here's a picture of our image of the tin Gothic church at night in the Old Town Square. Again, this is not that. This is the castle at night. Again, I did another night walk, and this is one where I use noise reducing software the very first thing before I did anything else, and then started playing with it, and playing a lot with white balance in the software to really bring out the colors to be more realistic. And this is,
I'm sorry, Tom. Did you bring a tripod along, or were you hand holding these, or what? Because they're really nice night photos.
they're all handheld.
Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, I shot it like at 1/30th of a second, and that's just to try to capture the light, the noise reduction in denoise raw. I went into the native topaz thing first and didn't even look at the thing, just auto clicked on it and took what it was and then took it from there. Yeah, same here. This is the Gothic Cathedral in the Old Town Square, and it's just really beautiful at night. The square. Those people that I'm friends with on Facebook, you may recognize this. This is my birthday picture of the year. Hope nobody breaks your balloons. And yeah, again, we were on a walk, we were going through passages. If I would have probably tried to go around to the other side to get her from the front, I would have gotten separated. One of my, a real good friend of mine had just gotten lost, and I didn't want to be the next person to get lost and have the guide go looking for him. But also I might have been disappointed because I don't know what she looks like, but I just love the bubbles and the crowd, and it was a nice grab. My street photographer coming out in me. Leaving Prague, we went to this work camp. It's the Vojja Memorial. Basically, this used to be a uranium mine, and life was very hard. I mean, basically, in the communist regime, they took intellectuals and people and basically took them and stripped them of their entire life and put them to this very hard labor, and this kind of prison tower gives you that look and feel. It was a particularly cloudy day, and I kind of like the way the clouds kind of shadow over this. And the next photo is also from there, and they had an education center. So basically, you get to learn about all your favorite heroes and stuff. So in this tour, we spent a lot of time talking about communism. We talked a lot of time about the various revolutions, all from people that had very firsthand, real life, pretty rough experiences and stuff like that. Okay. A little town near this memorial, we stopped for lunch, and we were going by going around the village, and this was another street photography kind of thing. Saw this young lady holding a little girl. As we walked by, it turned out it was a wedding, and people were coming out, and but this little girl obviously was making a fuss, so mom had to take her out. And so this is the wedding cry room. This is a Laverne and Shirley moment. Toured the Budvar Brewery in Budweiser, Czech. Okay. This is the original Budweiser. It has nothing to do with the American Budweiser. It was, a state, brewery incorporated in 1895. It was taken over by the communists, and, there's been a long history of, because of the water and brewing beer from here. Basically, Budvar has been involved in a trademark, dispute with Anheuser-Busch for, since the start of the 20th century. and they can't sell it as Budweiser, and it's kind of the largest, brewery and most popular beer in the Czech Republic. I took lots of pictures of the bottling plant. The Horse Whisperer. This was just a farm outside of Slavonice in the Czech Republic. And we kind of had a day in the life experience. Our group went to this farm. We learned about, farming in, both communist and post-communist times. The wife of the farmer was a horse trainer, and so she was showing us how she goes about training horses. This, by the way, is an iPhone image, because I didn't want to distract our host, with a large camera or anything like that. So, but it was a very interesting experience. Basically, when farming was, privatized, following, the various, the breakup of the communist regime, basically people were able to pick up lots of land at kind of funny money prices. But with that, you get all the people that used to work there too, and they were kind of yours that you had to manage in a private manner. And basically, this guy had gotten the family had gotten like 300 or so workers. Nobody got laid off or anything like that, but they kind of moved this out, and they had a ton of land. We had to work for our lunch. Some of us were scooping hay, some of us were picking the walnuts, and it was just a really good discussion and experience. This is the sewing machine from the UNESCO Jewish Quarter in Trebek, Czech Republic. It's a just a UNESCO site. Basically, the town, after during World War II was basically disappeared, but it's been preserved. There's lots of what it was like then, lots of things. And I was particularly struck by this sewing machine and kind of the still life to try to bring and it shows the star of David being kind of sewn onto something, and just a nice still life that I put together to kind of talk about that theme that we spent a lot of time talking about. This is some vase and petals, the still life. By the way, those are not real flowers. That's all phony silk, and but they looked incredibly real. This was at the Liechtenstein castle, or kind of chateau, in the Czech Republic. This palace was kind of one of the most lavish chateaus in Central Europe. It was the home of the wealthy Liechtenstein dynasty for centuries. Liechtenstein still is a country. The family, since this chateau was taken over by the communists, and it has never been given back to the family. Although they can, if they visit, they can stay there, but it's no longer theirs. And but it's just incredible. What's really interesting, you can see the very elaborate wood carving. There is wood carving all over the place. It's just incredible.
And that's interesting artwork to create the look of fading flowers.
Oh yeah,
in a permanent fashion.
Oh yeah. and the cleaning people don't disturb them. This is an umbrella street that's outside of an art gallery in Bratislava, Slovakia. It's an iPhone image. It was just a really neat street. I would have put in, you know, some of the stuff, the pictures that I saw in the gallery. The most interesting art in the gallery were the elevators. Actually, the elevator looked like you were walking into a painting, but there was a lot of nudity in there. And so I'm not a fine artist, you know, photographer. Okay. The sommelier, an iPhone image of a hostess. This is also in Bratislava, Slovakia. And we did a wine tasting at a Slovakian winery that specializes in orange wine. Okay, not red, not white, and it really isn't orange, but it's kind of this organic deal. It's a very different kind of taste. It takes some getting used to. Slovakia basically does not export a lot of wines. They drink it all themselves. But so you can do. But this hostess was just incredible. It's very charming, high energy, photogenic. Basically, she spoke absolutely fluent English at just this rapid clip. The interesting thing is she actually learned to speak English from some old sitcom, and it was incredible. I mean, this, you know, you could not tell. You know, he was just, you know, meanings, humor, everything was like spot on, and incredible. But very, very interesting individual. Okay. Image is called Guitar Hero, you know, surrounded by these huge bronze statues. The Magyar Horseman is a lone guitar player shredding away. And again, the street photographer came out in the you know, use of negative space and whatnot. I think I did somewhat of a pano to try to capture this of multiple images and stuff of combining it. So yeah, to get some of that feel. And we have the subway ticket taker. And if you read closely, they say we don't sell tickets. Just a street photography subject. She got incredibly mad at me when she caught me shooting, and she basically closed the blinds. But I was able to get this shot off before she got totally hacked at me. Another night shot, probably one of the highlights of Budapest. We had a small little private tour, a river tour, a whole boat, you know, for like the 13 of us that were there. And so the guide was going on and on about Viktor Orban, and you know, it's like at this point in time, I've had, you know, anything heavy I'd turned off, and so I just shut it off, and I just shot lots of pictures, and the bridges there, you know, across the Danube are totally spectacular, and so I was able to capture this. This again used a lot of you know, denoise type software before I even started to even begin editing the picture for whatever, you know, the light and stuff like that. And this is the Parliament building under moonlight. That's the moon. It's was kind of small, but it kind of added something. And this is just a spectacular, you know, building in a shot, and I was amazed at how sharp I could actually get it, you know, considering, you know, handheld, we were moving, you know, the light, etc.
Are you on a boat at this point?
Pardon?
You on a boat or across the water?
On a boat. Yeah.
And it's on the national do not call list.
I titled this one "Putting a Face on It," and And this is kind of a memorial that's in the center of Budapest. That I mean, Hungary is very proud, at one sense, that basically they did not have a lot of Nazi control until like 1945, just towards the very end of the war. But at that time, basically, I mean, they in rural areas, the Jewish population was was really affected, but the Jewish population in Budapest was not. In fact, there's still a very large Jewish population there. But this they've got some statues and they're kind of pumping that up. But basically, I really wanted, I selected this image because this really puts the face on it in today's climate of anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial. It's just, you need to put a face on it and whatnot. I've been particularly impacted by seeing the little blue square that's been on TV and in various kinds of things. And so that drove the selection of this image out of 30 images of all the images that I took. And this last image, kind of equally as powerful, 60 shoes on the Danube. The last day of the tour was pretty hard. We had, a guide who had a lot of firsthand experience. Her father did too, both the communist takeover, a lot of stories about World War II and about our friend Victor. This memorial, though, was really, I think, touching. There's this poem that was written about it, and it says, "Along the Danube, black shoes sit like steel doves and press against the stone. Sit where they fell on one cold morning, just like this. A little boy grabbing his mother's coat, his mother clutching him for one last kiss. That morning, women, children, and old men sat down to breakfast unaware, and may have laughed or hummed a song or taken one sweet breath of morning air before the gunmen dragged them from their homes and lined them up, removed their shoes and fired. Before their bodies fell in the morning sun, they are ourselves, only by different names, those tired eyes and mouths filled with death, and we are falling with them one by one. There are shoes they wore into forever. My brothers, who have you killed? What have you done?" It was a pretty heavy day.
This is a memorial sculpture again,
Yeah.
representing those shoes.
Yes.
I can imagine that was, and that poem was written after the sculpture in sort of a storytelling manner, I guess, huh?
Yeah. I think that I didn't write down the artist. I think it's on my thing, but I think it's Diane Prince. It was probably taken, pretty recently. It's, if you search the internet, it's, pretty, easy to find.
Okay, that was
Yeah.
great.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah. Hey,
I enjoyed looking at those pictures on my big screen. They were about 4 feet tall, and it's a very high resolution screen, so it looked great. I wanted to share with you, though, my experience shooting in Prague about 2 decades ago, where we spent a lot of time traveling through the old district, especially the Jewish architecture, and took a ton of pictures and filled up an SD card. So we decided to find a camera shop, and I went in and took this SD card out, put it in the watch pocket of my jeans, and then bellied up to the counter to buy another card. In the process of bellying up to the counter, I cracked that one in my pocket in half.
No.
So I have very few pictures from Prague.
Oh,
No,
no.
Enjoyed seeing yours a lot. That shot that you did of the Parliament, were you using a mirrorless there, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm using a Sony, it's like 61 megapixels.
Well, when I took that same shot in the daytime, it was covered with scaffolding, so it didn't look so neat. And recently, there's a photography group, the International, that I belong to on Facebook, and a woman from Budapest actually lives there, put up a picture like yours. It wasn't as nice as yours, so that with the moon in it, that's fantastic. But anyway, I liked it, and she was saying how beautiful it was, and I said, yeah, what's going on inside is not so beautiful. And she gave me a thumbs up emoji.
Yeah.
But very nice presentation. I enjoyed it.